Hi everyone. I thought it might be a good idea to also shoot a video of our property on this side. We previously did a live video that was a Facebook live video. And we gave that a shot here, but the video quality was really poor. And so instead I'm just going to record this video and put it on YouTube so you guys can see what we're doing over on this side of the fence, the bamboo fence that is. This is our acai or acai tree, and it produces the tremendous, superfood fruit that's supposed to be really good for you. And we're still waiting on this one to produce fruit, and hopefully soon. They prefer a more moist climate, and so we actually have to make sure this one stays watered more than we normally would for plants here, which we've been doing. But to date, it still has not produced fruit, but fingers crossed it'll be soon. This is the bamboo fence and the opening in the bamboo fence that leads over to Casa Vista. Just to give you an idea of the relationship between our home and CBV, it's right there. All right, now let's walk down to the area below our home where we have some interesting things going on. In the center here is a young starfruit tree. This one has not started producing fruit yet. The one over at Casa Vista produces an abundance of fruit. You can see that right after our property, which our property line is right at those banana plants, right after our property is jungle, and so the jungle backs right up to our home, and that's nice because you have all these wild animals that call that home, that live in there, and so we get a lot of critter sightings. Bananas, bananas, bananas. We also recently planted some plantains, which we didn't previously have growing here, but we're a big fan of plantains, and so we've added 5 or 6 plants that were a gift from friends of ours. These are 2 different kinds of heliconias, which are ornamental, but they're also important food source for hummingbirds. That one, the common name of that one is lobster claw, as you might understand why. And there's another heliconia. And so they're beautiful plants and really tropical looking, great to have around. But like I said, they're an important part of the food source and nesting for some species of hummingbirds. This is a good example of some volunteer food we have growing here that's come up. This is yam pea, which yam pea is in it's a cousin of taro, what they call taro in Hawaii. But we grow it in our garden area, in bulk. But every once in a while plants pop up here, and we're happy to have them. Those are 2 more plantains that we recently started. And banana trees, banana trees, banana trees. We probably have about 40 stands of banana trees on the property. Right here at the jungle's edge, you can see this plant. This is a guadua bamboo that we planted here, and when it's mature, and there are a few stands of it we have on the back of our property, and there's one going up there, you can see. This bamboo gets to be about 60 feet tall, and if I'm not mistaken, about 6-inch diameter. And so it's a construction grade bamboo. And but the stands of this are just strikingly beautiful. And so we thought it'd be nice to have a few stands along the back of our property, and then if we ever want to use them for something, then we have it. More volunteer in yam pea. And That is cranberry hibiscus we have growing there, and some let's see, various other fruit trees we planted. This is a new abiyu tree. Abiyu is one of our favorite fruits, and we have an abiyu tree I'll show you down in the lower orchard, but we were such big fans of it, we decided to start some from seed and plant another one closer to our home. And that's our number 2 favorite fruit, abiyu. Our number 1 favorite fruit, whoa, it's a little steep, is biribah. And so biribah, we also started from seed. And so we have a second biribah tree, which is closer to the house. But I'll show you those as we get down into the orchard. This is probably our favorite fruit for juice. It's called araza, or guayaba araza. And it's real sour, but it makes the most incredible juice. And so we have 2 trees that are very young, araza trees. We have this one, and then the one just on the other side of that rock. And this is the cranberry hibiscus, which you can eat like a salad, and it's got a tart cranberry flavor, as you might guess. More volunteer yampi, and more. And so things like to grow here, you know, without a doubt. And so if it's a food producing plant, either for us or for wildlife, we're happy to have it. All right, go down to the jungle's edge here. It's a little less steep. This is one additional guadua bamboo that we have growing, that we planted. And the creek is difficult to see, but it's right down in there on the other side of all this. We'll get a better look at it up ahead. This is, you see our deck there, give you your bearings. This tree right in the center here is one of several avocado trees that we have growing here at the property. That one was actually a volunteer tree, and from an avocado seed that was tossed off the deck, and we decided to keep it. Creek is right down there. Let's see if we can get a better view of it. This time of year during the rainy season, you definitely hear the sound of the creek from our home and from the deck, which is nice. It's a nice, calming, peaceful sound. All right, now we are below the home, below the hot tub deck, and in the center there is another avocado tree that we started from seed, from avocados that we got from a friend that were just amazing. And so we started, we saved one of the seeds and started plants. You see our firewood location for the hot tub deck there. And for those of you that have followed our story on Facebook, you might have seen when I was posting about the vanilla vines. And you can see how they've grown now. Very simple. They told us just to put the bags directly on the ground. And the reason is the plant sends roots back down. And you see these coming down the tree. And they send the roots back down into the ground. And so it's not so important that you get the vine initially planted, because they send runner roots back down. And we've got big hopes for this plant that we'll have our own vanilla beans to process in the not so distant future. It's jungle. All right, this is a shady area because of the tree canopy, and so it doesn't get a lot of sun down here, and so there's not an opportunity for a lot of things to grow. One thing that does better in lower light is cacao, or the cocoa or chocolate. I'll show you that in just a second. In the meantime, here is a wild heliconia, and these grow all over the edge of the property, at the edge of the our property and the jungle. And here's another wildflower, a vine, another heliconia, wild. In these trees, it's really common to find orchids growing if you have your eyes peeled. Okay, this begins where we have our cacao or chocolate planted. This is one tree that we have. This one has not started production yet, but this one has. I don't have a lot of fruit on it this year, but we finally had a few. So we're looking forward to trying our own cocoa. Here's the brewery. This is another cacao. And so what I'm going to do is walk down to the bottom of the orchard, and then we'll work our way back up. Wild heliconia. That's all wild. Okay, now this is the bottom corner of our property, if you will, and there's a post there in the middle, concrete post, and from there it runs down to the river, and that's where our property line. But this is the back side of our property, or bottom side of our property. One point is that concrete post. Okay. This tree is mangosteen, and we got it when it was, a young tree, and they can take up to 10 years to produce fruit. And so, we've been here 6 years now, and so hopefully we're getting closer to the day, or to the season that it produces fruit. If you haven't had mangosteen yet, you could look it up. It's a very interesting looking fruit, and it's delicious. They call it the queen of fruits. Mangosteen. Bananas, banana plants. This plant, actually don't remember the name of it, but it's for pollinators. It's to attract pollinators, and it's attractive as well. But they love to grow, and so we actually have to cut these back pretty regularly because they grow so much. So you'll see a lot of this in Costa Rica, in tropical areas where you get a lot of rainy seasons. This is vetiver, the grass, the line of grass. And vetiver grass is excellent for erosion control. If you plant vetiver in a line like this on a bank, it will actually trap things that are getting washed down the hill. And over time, it can create your own terracing, which is pretty cool. But the roots of vetiver in the correct soil can be as much as 6 feet deep. And so it's an extremely stabilizing force for a bank. where you might otherwise have erosion. Looking back up towards the house, brewery. More bananas. This tree is one that we're really interested to try because we've never had the fruit before. It's called Santal. It's a Brazilian fruit, and apparently it's really interesting flavor. And I think it's similar to mangosteen in the appearance of the fruit, but don't quote me on that. But it is a really interesting one that we've not had fruit yet. And so this area was previously wasn't getting enough sun, and we had a couple of trees that came down, which is a regular event here during the rainy season. It opened this area up to get more light, and so now this tree is kicked in. The growth is really taken off since we started getting more light. Another row of vetiver grass. Erosion control. And let's see, step up through here. Right now I am below Toby's treehouse. This tree that the treehouse is in is called quijada, and it's extremely durable wood and prized for furniture and stuff like that. And so it's not it's not going to fall anytime soon. Those branches, that's for sure. The quijada tree is wrapping up flowering, and see all these little purple lavender colored flowers on the ground. It's from a quijada tree. Not sure, but that looks like a volunteer Chiquisco. But someday we'll have to dig it up and see. This is our other abiu tree, our mature abiu tree. And you see some fruit here. And here. And as well as smaller fruit. And this is one of our favorite trees, without a doubt. It's not a very big tree. Even if left unpruned, it doesn't get to be a very big stature, maybe 15 feet tall or so. And again, since we've had more sun come down here in the lower orchard, this tree all of a sudden is sending up new growth, and it's a lot happier this year than it has been in previous years. So that's abiu. That's the one. The flavor of this is really difficult to describe, but it's our best estimate has been it's a combination of pear, vanilla, and caramel. And so it's fascinating flavor, and we absolutely love it. Abiu. This bank is fairly steep, and so after a really heavy rain, it's really difficult to get up and down this bank because it's so slippery. But we're in good shape now. And speaking of fruits, favorite fruits, this is our #1 favorite, is biribá. It's a decent medium-sized tree. And we actually need to prune this one, do a little better job of pruning it. But you can see the biribá hanging on the tree here. They're absolutely delicious. I don't know, how to describe the flavor of this, but it's absolutely amazing. We're huge fans of it. And getting some of the fruit can be challenging because they can be up pretty high, which is why we need to prune the tree better. But we've got a fruit picker that will reach almost all the way to the top of the tree. Whoa! Speaking of slipping. This is a cattail plant, but not the cattails like we have in the United States on the roadside, but they look a lot like cattails, red cattail. This is our monster jackfruit tree. I'm going to need to step back to show you. And the tree is a monster and productive because it's right next to the chicken's pen. The chicken are just on the other side of that. And they, the tree sends roots that go underneath the chicken's pen. And so it's absorbing all of that waste material from the hens that gets washed down with the rain. And so this tree is just extremely happy. You can see one jackfruit there. Hey girls. More up there. And more up high. We got between 12 and 15 fruit this year that looks like are going to go to maturity. But it's a beautiful tree. It's got really nice leaves, really nice looking tree. Whoa! And so, in addition to being so productive, any of you who have followed me know all about jackfruit, and you know that it's an excellent substitute for meat substitute for vegetarians, which we happen to be. We're ovo-lacto pescatarians, more specifically. This is the chicken's pen. They have a lot of space. In their pen, they have a Costa tree growing. Costa is what a lot of people think of as guava in the States or in Hawaii. It's what people call guava. Here they call it Costa, and they have another tree that's guava. And so the fruit from this tree is the inspiration for the flavor for Kool-Aid. And so the hens have these fruit ripen and drop into their pen, and they're happy about that. And that's their coop. Another bush with the purple flowers that's just incredible how much it wants to grow. And so we have to cut this one back pretty regularly. This tree in the center there is rambutan or mamon. And if most anyone that's come to Costa Rica or in the tropics is familiar with the fruit mamon, and it's delicious. And this variety that we have is especially good. Looking back down towards the orchard. This is one type of tikisque that we have growing. This is a purple tikisque. And the tikisque is a cousin of yampi, which is what they call taro in Hawaii. And the root, you know, I'm not sure the exact, if the correct or name for the product is a tuber or a corm. Sorry, but anyway, the product, below ground product, is used much like potato. These are relatively new okra plants with a little bit of tikisque mixed in with it, because we had a gap. We had a gap when we planted all the okra. We had one spot where for some reason we didn't have okra germinate, and so not to waste space, we planted some tikisque there. And this is the other type of tikisque. The purple tikisque that I just showed you a minute ago, this is the white tikisque. And again, the product is used much like potato. And this is the white one is now our favorite. This was a gift from Jimmy Mesa And now that we've had one season of growing it and using it, it's definitely our favorite. So we'll probably convert completely to white Tequisque in the coming years. So those of you that are familiar with okra know it has beautiful hibiscus-like flowers. And so not only is it one of our favorite food-producing plants, but it's also a pleasure to look at. And these plants have just started flowering and producing. And so we're starting to, pick okra. There's small okra. That's the product. And many in the northern United States are not familiar, or if you're not from the southern U.S., put it that way, many people aren't familiar with okra, but it's a staple in the southern diet in the U.S. And as such, it's a staple in our diet here. Okra, okra, okra. This is our patch of ginger, and we haven't got as well planted this year as we have in previous years because we have an abundance of ginger already. But this is the ginger plant, the food-producing edible ginger. This is the plant. This is moringa. And so these trees that we have growing here, we try to keep them cut lower, because it will get to be a fairly good sized tree, fairly tall tree if you let it. But we try to keep it cut back, and because it's the leaves that we use for our diet, and the leaves are what are used to make moringa powder, if you will, and it's popular in many parts of the world. And so, but we use the leaves directly. There's a little bird. And again, we have rows of vetiver grass, as you can see, because this is a steep bank. That our front yard is it was just a steep hill, and now it's terraced. This is the other side of the chickens' pen, as you can see, and they have another cos tree growing on that side as well. They also have a type of a wild grape there in the center that's really prolific, and so those drop onto the ground for them to eat as well. We previously had black pepper growing on the other side of our property below our home, and it was just difficult to keep it separated from the jungle plants that wanted to move in. And so I had an epiphany several months ago, was to instead move or get some new black pepper plants and plant them under our greenhouse here. And so that in this case, they can just, we can make sure they stay weeded and clean here. They can grow right up these posts, these eucalyptus wood posts, and they can grow all up through these rafters, of bamboo. And so it gives them an excellent place to grow where we control the water level and the moisture. And so this is our newer experiment for black pepper. And I am a black pepper fiend. I have to have black pepper for so many things. This is some kale and baby kale plant that we just started. Some younger kale plants and then some older ones. And so Jill's actually a bigger fan of growing kale than lettuce now, just because it's so hardy, it's so easy to grow, and it can be used for so many things. And from a nutrient standpoint, it's so much better for you. This is a baby Anaheim pepper plant that we started from seed, and because we weren't sure if we had Anaheim peppers growing from what we already had planted. As it turns out, we do. These pepper plants here definitely appear to be Anaheim-like, Anaheim looking. And so we actually have 2 or 3 plants here that are Anaheim. This is our go-to hot pepper tree or hot pepper plant. Once these peppers turn red, they're kind of cone-shaped. And they're not very big. They're about the size, on average, of a jalapeno. But they're hotter than that, and just really delicious. Jill makes some crazy delicious salsas with that, and this is typical of a happy pepper plant in Costa Rica. It's essentially a small tree, and it grows year-round, produces year-round. And what we found is they tend to do better under the greenhouse. We used to have them growing out in the open, and they just don't seem as happy as when we put them under the greenhouse. And so this same plant, if you will, grown out in the open won't get nearly as big as this. But with it being under the greenhouse where the moisture levels are controlled, and the sun is reduced somewhat, it really prefers that. Here's another young black pepper plant. I planted black pepper in all 4 corners of the greenhouse, and so they could eventually grow up. These are our new tomato plants that we just put out the other day, and so that we started from seed. This little guy is struggling. I think it's a beefsteak type, but it's getting its feet under it now. But anyway, we have 8 tomato plants for this year that we've started from seed and are growing, and they all seem happy. They look like they're doing well. Here's another black pepper. It's going to grow up this corner, I hope. This is a sweet pepper tree, which, if you think of it in the States, the use of what you would use bell pepper for, this pepper is used in the same way. It's longer and more conical than bell pepper, but very similar flavor, and it's sweet. And so we started 2 plants from seed, and just got them in the ground, fairly recently, and they look really happy. And so they look like they're going to be. This one, I think, actually looks like it's going to be flowering pretty soon. And for the kitchen, that's one of the big things Jill wants, is good quality peppers. Hot peppers, medium peppers, sweet peppers. Now this cucumber that we started, I was hoping it would climb up this post, but it didn't seem to. And so now I'm trying to train it to grow over to the yucca. We'll see if that little experiment works. But we can get cucumbers locally from people that grow on the mountain, and they grow them in such abundance it's almost not worth it for us to grow them. This is the other sweet pepper, and the final black pepper. And so that's kind of our greenhouse for now. Oh, the beer crates. You might be wondering, why do you have these beer crates in the garden or under the greenhouse? What we found is that when you plant things here early on, when you work the soil and get it ready to plant things, nocturnal critters like skunks and different things love that soft soil, so they can dig for worms. And so you oftentimes, we would plant something and then come back out the next morning and it would be dug up. And so now we take preventative action, where when we first get things in the ground, until they get established, we cover them every night with these beer crates, and then every morning early I come down and uncover them so they can enjoy the sun. This tree is our tangerine tree, and we finally got the first fruit off of it last year. We got 1 fruit, and it was delicious. It was absolutely amazing, and so it's exactly what we want. Oh, there's one up there now, 1 little fruit. But we were really there's so many tangerine type things to choose from here. We were very careful and make sure we tested and tasted what we got before we put it in the ground. but it was you know, reassuring to actually have one of them, and then it was what we thought. So it's exactly what I remember from being a kid, the tangerine flavor. So our fire pit, usually when we have guests in CVV, and often on their last night, we might invite them over for a fire pit. And that's our kiln that we use to produce charcoal, and bamboo that we use to produce bamboo charcoal. That is the road coming up to our homes. Our parking area, and Costa Vista is on the other side of that. Here's our home. In many locations around the property, we have this plant growing, which is yucca. And yucca is just an amazing root crop that, you know, again, can be used a lot like potato, and it wants to grow. I mean, there's just, you have a hard time stopping yucca from growing. When I cut this back, because sometimes it gets too tall, and I throw the branches over there to the other side, they root. And so now we have yucca growing all over the edges of the property, as well as what we intended to grow. Vetiver grass, white tequisque, like I was talking about earlier. Delicious root crop. Now we have sprinklers all, you know, throughout the property, of both lots, this side and the Costa Vista side, to irrigate during the dry season. Not necessary now. We're getting consistent rain now, and so there's no need to irrigate. Only under the greenhouse is the only place that I need to irrigate now, and that's year-round. These are squash that we started from seed. These squash are pumpkin-looking, and they're really useful. I mean, one squash you get I don't know how many meals you can get out of it, but it's impressive. So we'll see how those do. There's one, and there's the second one. So it looks like they might need a little more nitrogen. This bed is yampi, and on the farther side is turmeric. I can walk down and show you. This was all recently planted. Here are young turmeric plants. And here's a larger turmeric plant. And larger turmeric plant. You can see the brewery here. And our storage underneath. And our washer dryer. And firewood for the hot tub. Stays nice and dry under there. This is our primary yampi bed. Again, a very useful root crop. It's great for hash browns or, you know, potato type things. And I love the look of these elephant ear looking plants, particularly when they collect rainwater. It's just really cool.